Hello, you are watching the presentation of a tribotechnical compound named Active Plus Diesel. I'm going to tell you what it is, what it's needed for, and how to use it. It is the motor oil additive that alters friction processes, which allows engine part surfaces to rebuild. It restores engine operating characteristics and significantly extends its lifespan. All this happens as you do a daily drive. You will no longer need to concern yourself with costly and time-consuming engine repair. As time goes on, the characteristics of any engine drop. You can feel your car lose its thrust or increase fuel consumption and oil burning. You may also find your car engine knock or hear unwanted sounds and vibrations. All mentioned above, as well as many others, are the symptoms that appear as the result of mechanical wear. The wear primarily happens to friction surfaces. They're changing their shape. The friction clearances get widened, which causes the whole system to gradually lose its nominal parameters. Changing the parts and engine repair may be an answer, but the easier solution is to restore the worn surfaces on the go simply by using Active Plus Diesel. Although a metallic surface appears mirror polished to a bare eye, on the micro level, however, it's not as perfectly plain. It is actually covered in micro pikes and holes. The contact of two friction surfaces primarily occurs through impact of their pikes. It is as punching a wall with your fists. Knuckles sustain the heaviest damage. At the moment of collision, pikes get damaged, torn off the surface, and their particles get in the motor oil. Later, they're removed from the engine together with the oil. Tribotechnical compound ATOMIUM contains special composition of natural minerals. You may see them as dark sediment on the bottom of the can. When minerals get into local area of surface's contact, they activate ionic bonds in a metal. It allows the surface to capture a metallic particle from the motor oil and attach it. The process repeats in different points. At the end, you get a kind of a metallic protective layer all over the surface. The layer gets smoother, more elastic on the micro level, and has porous structure. Motor oil penetrates the pores and forms a continuous oil film. This oil never flows down to the oil pan, even when the engine has been idle for a long time. To recap, the protective layer narrows the friction clearances to their optimal size. That's for one. And the other is that it retains continuous oil film. This obviously improves the work of all friction units of the engine. All positive changes in the engine work are described in booklet in detail. Restoration of cylinder surfaces is the most important feature. Protective layer and dense oil film seal the connection between piston, ring, and cylinder. This improves compression by preventing gases from breaking through. Proper compression is a key factor for full and effective fuel combustion. As the result, you get increased power and acceleration while fuel consumption decreases. Equal compression in all cylinders balances the engine, providing it soft and quiet operation. Exhaust gases contain less particles of fuel, which is good for turbine and particulate filters. They will serve longer. In addition, it removes smoke from the exhaust and makes your car ecology-friendly. There is more to the story. Restored cylinder ring clearances prevent oil from getting into combustion chamber, so oil burning may be sufficiently reduced or even completely removed. It will reduce expenses on regular oil refills. The compound restores all friction surfaces in the engine. For example, it helps oil pump to provide nominal outlet pressure, slows down the wear of bearing shells in the crankshaft mechanism. It restores plungers of valve lifters or hydraulic tappets. They restore ability to maintain oil pressure, which removes ticking sound from under the engine head cover. Aside from restoration effects, there are preventive ones. Each time you start the engine, for the first few seconds it works in a drive friction mode. The motor oil needs time to get delivered to all sections of the engine. The wear is really heavy at this moment, especially in cold weather. If the engine is treated with ATOMIUM Active Plus compound, friction surfaces retain an oil film. Thus, even the first piston movements happen lubricated. It makes engines start easier and reduces wear by several times. When you're stuck in traffic, the engine works under extreme conditions such as lack of cooling and low oil pressure. Oil gets overheated, liquefies, and doesn't perform properly. In a treated engine, friction surfaces may still hold quite dense oil film due to microporous structure. It again reduces friction and wear. These protective effects may eventually prolong the engine lifespan by 2 or 3 times, which allows to forget about repairs and possible breakage. It is very easy. First, you should shake the can to dissolve all the sediments at the bottom. Remember, it is actually an active component of the compound. Then, pour the whole can into the oil filler. Do it about 1,000 km run prior to oil replacement. Then change oil and oil filter as usual and add another can to the fresh motor oil. It takes some time for the compound to build up the protective layer. Drive your car as usual until the next oil change. If your car has a big overall mileage or is operated under heavy conditions, add the third filling of compound to fresh oil. It ensures complete restoration of all parts. This is the most asked question, and the answer is yes. To begin with, there are moving parts in all engines regardless of type or construction. Hence, there are friction and mechanical wear. ATOMIUM Active Plus will help to reduce it. Secondly, the compound is chemically neutral. It doesn't interact with motor oil and never changes its properties, so you may use it with any oil brand and type, mineral or synthetic. One more thing. The compound particles are a few times smaller than the size of the oil filter cell, so they're unable to clog it and disturb the oil flow within the system. And finally, the compound effectiveness is proven by years of watching it in practical use. See the customer reviews on atomium.eu. Good luck on the road!